All right, let's talk about a new announcement from the Ford government, a new process trying to speed up mining exploration and development in our province. It is being called the One Project, One Process framework. Mining projects will be managed by a mine authority, and permitting delivery teams with the Ministry of Energy and Mines acting as a single point of contact to coordinate approvals within 2 years. The goal of this new system is to slash review times by up to 50%. The province has said it takes up to 15 years currently to approve a single mine under the system we do have in place. So for more on the new process, I'm joined now by Stephen Lecce, the Minister of Energy and Mines. Thank you very much for your time, sir. And just thinking about this new process, what is the most exciting thing for you, or what you're looking most forward to about it?
Honestly, we talk a lot about self-reliance as Canadians. You know, we got to do it ourselves. We got to end dependence on America or on China or anyone else. I really believe that. I think that's the way we're going to protect our economy through these challenging times. And yesterday was very special. I mean, we passed a law in June. We implemented it fully within 4 months, transforming how we permit in Ontario, maintaining quality, maintaining protection, but actually moving at the speed of this new world order. In Western Australia, they approve mines in 6 years. In Europe, 8 to 10. In Alberta and Saskatchewan, less than a decade. And yes, it does take up to 15 years in this province. We're the second slowest in the industrialized world. And I can't imagine a Canadian who does not believe Canadian ethical resources should prevail over the Chinese. And so I'm really proud that we cut the timeline by half. Our Premier gave me a mandate, gave our team a mandate. Get it done, move at speed, and deliver those jobs that I know Canadians want and they deserve. Now,
I know from doing a little bit of reading into the announcement, you know, the approvals process, a lot of this falls under the Mining Act, and part of this coming into play with, well, Bill C-5 has not necessarily been it hasn't been the most controversial thing at the legislature, we'll say that. But because there's been concerns about consultation already, and just seeing some of the reactions from environmental groups, they're saying that the devil's in the details here, and they don't necessarily know how other ministries that usually would give their input will be able to under this new process. Can you explain potentially to alleviate those concerns?
Yeah, well, first off, under that bill, we actually strengthened the penalty clause, including jail time for non-compliance. The message in Ontario is, first of all, we have some of the most responsible corporate stewards when it comes to mining and energy. We're proud of them. But having said that, if they dare violate the law, they will go to jail or face multi-million-dollar increased penalties. It's a message of zero tolerance, but it's a message that together, if we work with stewardship and collaboration with Indigenous and local communities, we can do amazing things. And we have, you know, over 30 mines in the province, adding billions of dollars to our economy. And every single day, they have demonstrated that if it's not Ontario minerals getting to new markets, ultimately, it's the Americans or the Chinese or some other competitor. So I know we can do it well. We've been doing it responsibly for decades. And this new One Project, One Process vision is about unleashing our potential as an energy superpower. I mean, look, if the Australians and Europeans can do it in literally less than half the time, it begs the question for anyone who defends the status quo, how can they do it, but we can't here in Canada? We've got it all, the technology, the workers, the resources. We're so blessed as a country. We're the most democratic nation on earth that upholds environmental, labor, and human rights standards. I want Canadian jobs and workers to win the day over the Chinese. And I'll fight on that message. Our Premier will take that to Queen's Park and to the rest of Ontario every day. So I am confident, and I really believe this new system is going to help us move with speed, but yes, maintain those protections that I know Canadians want.
And well, I guess we'll have to see with those, roughly half dozen mining projects that could potentially be off the ground. You know, we'll have to talk maybe in a few years to make sure, but it's
not years.
Not years.
No, because
not years.
In weeks, we will be using this authority to demonstrate one project, one process, this 50% reduction. Like, you don't have to wait a year. Wait not even a month, where we're going to start designating mines based on this new reality of moving with speed to fight for and support Canadian resource workers. So yeah, it's happening, and it's happening. Everything's happening in Ontario. The world is turning to us. The Saudi Arabia Minister of Investment was here just a few days ago, meeting with the government of Ontario, saying we want your minerals. There are markets for our resources and our technology. It just requires government to have the courage to, frankly, challenge the status quo, do things better, smarter, and get on with building and creating jobs for the people of Ontario. You know, this week we had difficult news in the economy. So if we're not doing it, if we're not fighting for Canadian resources and workers, then where will these workers turn to? And I think there's an opportunity. There's a job for them in energy and mines. We know that to be the case. We were estimating 20,000 more workers in mines. We need tens of thousands in the nuclear sector alone. So there's a job for them through upskilling. As I say, it's really our path to self-reliance as Canadians. Enough talk about being a self-reliant superpower. Let's do it. And the Premier of Ontario is literally making it happen from June to October. And government doesn't move quick, generally. But this government has moved at lightning speed to supercharge the economy of Canada.
And we will have to talk in weeks to come, not years, about how the approval process has been going, and also particularly making sure that all of those checks and balances are there. But that won't be something we can get to today, because that is the future. Speaking of your boss, though, thinking also from July, going back to June to now, with the legislature being off for 19 weeks, going back to work, obviously the opposition parties are going to be focusing on the bad news from the week, whether it's Stellantis, whether it's your colleague, Mr. Piccini. Because these are obviously like low-hanging fruit for your friends across the aisle, what are you trying to focus on going back to work, especially because there's been a very long break for people not paying attention to politics?
Yeah, look, I think when the legislature sits or not, you're a member of provincial parliament, certainly within this government, like we're working around the clock. The legislature didn't sit yesterday when I was at the TSX, the global center of mining, to announce this implementation of this plan. I mean, we're working hard and the Premier works literally every day. But look, the legislature is coming back. I think what Canadians or Ontarians particularly should look forward to is a hyper focus on the economy, affordability, jobs, protecting them, and also buying Canadian. The Premier has made clear the economy has to be the top priority to safeguard workers and to stand up for our country against the very real difficulty being imposed by President Trump. And so the legislature, the bills we're going to be introducing are going to be really focused on affordability, creating jobs, protecting our supply chains, and buying Ontario, buying Canadian. We buy tens of thousands of vehicles. So much procurement comes from the province of Ontario. $30 billion that we have said that the Americans cannot bid into. So if we looked more within our country and province, I think we can create more jobs. And energy is a case study where we're building Canadian nuclear. We're literally leaning in to Canadian technology and workers. So it's not a theory. We're doing it in real time. And the small modular reactor project that was announced by the Premier, that's 18,000 construction jobs, like today. That's $39 billion of GDP gain. So there are ways by which the government's going to demonstrate we can really double down on Canadian workers and fight to make life more affordable for people. I think that's what really matters now more than ever.
Well, Minister, we'll leave it there. We'll see how the fall session treats you in the government you're a part of. But I thank you for your time and thank you for telling us about the project as well.
Thank you.